while we're discussing about all that had gone down wrong with the Boeing Starliner, but when we also speak of the SpaceX Dragon capsule mission that got them back home, it's not the first, definitely, but there were certain challenges that were, associated with this very 17-hour journey as well, when we were in fact hearing live the communication between the NASA scientists on ground and those in the space station itself. There were certain checks that were being done where there were certain, issues that had cropped up, for which there was also a little bit of a delay in the timing as to when they left from there, in the timing of the de-docking taking place. If you could just briefly take us through some of the challenges that are associated with this very travel and how big of a success it is that all four of these astronauts, especially Wilmore and Williams, coming back to Earth.
Good morning all and greetings of the day. So first of all, let me congratulate honestly, the scientists of NASA and the entire astronomical and the space fraternity for
a big day for them
successfully,
and a big day for all of us. Yes.
Yeah, and definitely, as it is being said that tomorrow is the vernal equinox, and before the vernal equinox, the good news has definitely struck us. So this homecoming has brought good news for all of us. So now coming back to the topic, the question that you had asked. See, not only in the return, ever since the very inception, as Dr. Gupta has already given a brief insights into it, that ever since that launch was being started, this Dreamliner had run into problems. And even if you remember, when the first launch was slated in the month of May itself, I think the day was 6th May or like that, it could be confirmed. So it was cancelled after a problem with an oxygen valve was found in the rocket that was to launch that particular spacecraft into the orbit. Then again, it was followed by some sort of a helium leak and all those things. And then everything was delayed. Then finally, after all, in the first week of June, the launch date happened. And then we all know the story, cut short, that 288 days delay happened for the team of Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore. And now they are safely back. Now, coming to the point that you raised, that while they were returning back, yes, there are a few, you can say, technological gaps that we really face as human beings, because right now there was a phase of about 6 to 7 minutes that was that you just hinted at, that is the communication blackout that happens really when a spacecraft actually re-enters and into the Earth's atmosphere, and it's actually being caused by technically speaking a layer of ionized gas that we call as plasma, which is forming around that particular capsule due to the intense heat and friction after interacting with the atmosphere, and that interferes with the radio signal. So right now the research, Dr. Gupta will give more insights into it. The research also is going on with regards to using the laser guided sort of communication in the days to come. NASA is doing sort of research, but while doing the course of the re-entry, they were re-entering at the supersonic speed from 17,000 miles per hour, and then making it into the, you can say, 50 to 60 kilometers per hour, and then going for a soft splashdown. Yes, definitely it was a roller coaster ride. And after all, as we know, of howsoever calculations we may do, it is a game of probabilities and possibilities which are infinite in nature. And as we have a saying in Hindi that दूध का जला छाछ भी फूक फूक करके पीता है. And taking the cue from the disaster that had struck in the year 2003, I am taking you back to history, when a small our space shuttle Columbia actually disintegrated on February 1st, when Kalpana Chawla, you remember, and her team was re-entering into the atmosphere. And so what had happened was, a small piece of foam had foam insulation had broken off from the shuttle's external fuel tank, and it has struck the left wing, which had damaged that thermal protection system. So all those precautions were being taken, checks and rechecks were being done, because this mission suddenly had become larger than life in last
Absolutely.
9 months. It had not only caught the attention but also the imagination of the people, because it was definitely, this re-entry was going to inspire an entire generation of young scientists and all those budding astronomers and space experts in the days to come. So it was challenging, and yes, it has been successfully completed. Now it will take a little bit of recovery period for Sunita Williams and her team
Definitely.
to go back to
We'll
normalcy.
discuss that in greater depth, as to how the recovery process will be from here. But at this given point, I think you've summed it up very well. This mission had somewhere become
Once again,
larger than life, and it was an unusual chapter in spaceflight history that we have all been tracking for the past 9 months. And now, with success having been achieved, let's quickly take you viewers through yet again those exact few moments when the touchdown took place and the final lines of communication that was taking place between the NASA astronauts here at Houston, as well as the spacecraft and the 4 astronauts who were in the Dragon capsule.
Thumbs up and a wave. Can't get any better than that. On to the ship, we have a very special treat.
April 27th, 2022, to the International Space Station on NASA's SpaceX Crew 4 mission. Last year is September 28th. So, yeah, a little bit about the Dragon Freedom capsule.
Dragon Freedom. To the far left there is NASA astronaut Butch Wilmore. And as you can see, the crew is suited up in their Space Indeed daytime. And you're beginning to see that plasma trail as Dragon re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. All of that is expected.
Coming from the WB-57 plane, that heat shield we can see doing magnificent work as it
deploys. This view coming from the WB-57 high altitude plane. And there you see it on your screen, drogue deployment.
Drogue descent rate nominal.
You can hear the crowd here.
Visual on 2 healthy drogues.
Continues to make its way back to planet Earth.
The mains are quite a bit larger. You'll be able to notice the difference on your screen once they deploy, and they continue to ensure that the Dragon spacecraft slows down even further. Big time this afternoon, and there we go.
We have visual on 4 healthy mains.
That view was from inside.
Freedom copy. And
That view was from inside one of the buckets where the parachutes are located. So we see a great view there of the reefing on those parachutes. And as those main parachutes begin to inflate fully, 4 beautiful points as resting places for their arms. They were just in space moments ago. So their arms were able to float freely.
400 meters.
Florida.
And splashdown. Crew 9 back on Earth.
and SpaceX Freedom, splashdown. Good main release.
Copy splashdown. We see main chutes cut. Nick, Alex, Butch, Suni, on behalf of SpaceX, welcome home.
Well, with that, let me take you through the first words that have in fact been posted, or the statement that's coming from the White House as a reaction to this very successful feat for NASA, where Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore made it back to Earth. Let me quickly take you through that very post. As they've said, and they've mentioned in bold there, that a promise that was made has been kept. The exact lines that were read, that were written on that very post, I quote them. A promise made, promise kept. President Trump had pledged to rescue the astronauts stranded in space for 9 months. Today, they safely splashed down in the Gulf of America, thanks to Elon Musk, to SpaceX, and to NASA. Dr. Gupta, with that, we in fact come back to you and come back to this very discussion. You know, Dr. Gupta, when we speak of this very mission, we have gone through the technicalities involved, the complications that had also come out within this very mission from the very beginning. But let's also now speak of the recovery process, because you also were mentioning this. It's not only a physical challenge, rather it's a mammoth task when we speak of the mental mental resilience that one has to go through to be stuck in space for 9 months, and then the recovery indeed takes a lot of time. So now from here, please help us understand, and just to simplify this for our viewers, what lies ahead for Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore in terms of the recovery process that is to begin now.
Definitely. See, just as we prepare an astronaut for the space travel, it's a long, long process of training and conditioning. In the same way, now it is a deconditioning process. I've specifically laid down lengthy process step by step to again make them adjust to the environment on the earth, mentally as well as physically, physiologically. Mentally, of course, the person already the training part and the individual resilience, the person is mentally strong enough and it will slowly adjust to the environment. But the equally important is the physiological adjustment. As you stay longer and longer in the zero gravity environment, and the body, because after all, more than 70% or 75% of the body, human body, consists of water. Water is a fluid. If I drop a little bit of water on the table, it will splash all around because there is gravity here on the earth. But if you do the same thing in the space, the water will spread in all directions slowly, slowly. So same thing happens inside the body. After all our physiological processes are based on the water and the chemicals in the water dissolved in the chemicals interacting with the rest of the system, the tissues, the cells. The cells themselves contain a lot of water. So in the zero gravity environment, it's an entirely new kind of an adjustment. Body has to take it. Or if you see the visible parameters, the bone density goes on reducing. Muscle mass goes on reducing. The blood, normally when you are on the earth, there is a tendency of the blood to accumulate in the legs, and the body has to do extra efforts to keep it flowing back to the heart and to the brain. Brain cannot survive without nutrition, without oxygen. The blood supply has to be there and maintained at a certain pressure. Intracranial pressure, slight changes in the intracranial pressure will completely disorient the person and lead to so many other pathological problems. Similarly, the eyeballs, the eye is filled with liquid. Now, again, the same problem comes with the eyes also. There is a blood vision, then so many things will take place. Now, body will take a long time to adjust back to the Earth's gravity environment after having stayed for 9 months in the zero gravity. So for that, the doctors have conducted a lot of research into this area, but even then, it is a risky process. I mean, I would say the risk which she faced in the space environment for 9 months has not just ended with this splashdown. In fact, the risk continues for certain more time, and I'm sure the medical teams are there to take care of any eventualities. So it is a long-drawn process. It may take a few weeks, it may take a few months, but it depends upon individual resilience also and the time spent in the zero gravity environment.
Absolutely. So in fact, if we put it this way, the technical part of it in terms of their return journey has come to an end, and successfully so. But now the recovery process, and probably the more complicated part, in fact, begins as to how long both these astronauts will be taking to recover completely from their 9-month stay in space and then